Hello, I'm James Daganixon. Welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the program today, Macquarie raises Nine Entertainment to an outperform. We'll catch up with all the latest on media stock moves with Gary Burton from IG shortly. And My Kitchen rules on 7 and Married at First Sight on 9 continue to battle it out for top spot. The latest crucial ratings later on in the show. And of course, as always, the co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, is here to take us through all the stories this week, plus more. We'll get into James in just a second. Before, though, it wasn't long ago that Australians needed to subscribe to Netflix via the US if they wanted access to a major SVOD service. In the past few years, though, Netflix has launched in Australia, while Nine and Fairfax launched their local SVOD option, Stan. The Australian business continues to grow quickly, despite taking on some of these global giants, Netflix, and of course, more recently, Amazon Prime Video. Well, Stan CEO Mike Sneesby joins us now to talk all about the local business and in particular the outlook for SVOD. Mike Sneesby, appreciate your time today. Look, just to start with, the numbers that Stan keeps posting, I mean, looking at the latest from January, continuing to push high. What is it? What do you think it is that's driving these subscriptions? Yeah, look, I mean, clearly the streaming space is taking off. You know, the category really kicked off about 2 years ago when Stan launched and Netflix launched, and what's really happened is a continuing change in consumer behaviour, and we're seeing that, you know, even though the take-up has been very fast to date, there's still a long way to go in consumers taking up the service. So we'll expect to see that continued growth driven by consumer behaviour.
That you reported, I think, or Fairfax maybe did in their results, and we had Greg Highwood on the show talking about it recently, that January was your biggest month ever. I guess you've cracked lots of those records along the journey in a bit over 2 years. But was there key things in January that brought on the extra customers, like price, content? What is it? Yeah, look, I mean, the television space is seasonal. It's a seasonal kind of market, particularly for SVOD, where, you know, you see over the summertime, for us in the Australian market, summer is a big driver of both viewing and take-up of subscriptions for SVOD services. But coupled with that, we had some great programming. We had Sherlock, the exclusive premiere of the brand new season of Sherlock on the 2nd of January, and that was a big driver for us at the same time. So we had really two things at play, a strong seasonal period and a really big title with a huge existing following behind it. And those two things together really drove us to a big number. But as you say, you know, we are continually breaking records in terms of sign-up numbers. Every year we've gotten bigger and bigger. Our sign-ups have gotten greater and greater. So it's you know, it's really part of that growth story. And in terms of subscribers, where are you at in terms of numbers, and what portion of that are paying customers? Yeah, so you mentioned before the update on our most recent numbers. So in the Fairfax and Nine Entertainment Company results in the last couple of weeks, both companies reported that Stan is now over 700,000 active subscribers. And the active subscriber number is a pretty close proxy to paying subscribers. It's basically paying subscribers plus those who are currently in their 30-day free trial period. So we're currently converting another, you know, numbers that we've talked to the market about. We're converting those free trialists at a rate of 75%. So that 700,000, over 700,000, is a proxy for what we'll be paying, like literally within weeks of this point in time. And the reason we use the active subscriber number as the metric is because we've already acquired those subscribers. They've already come on board with their credit cards down, and as I said, we are reliably converting those at a rate of about 75%. Hope you're getting to grill those 25% who aren't staying.
What's the problem?
Yeah. Tell us about the path to profit. We've heard about, I think, 2018 is now the year being given as cash flow positive, but what will happen then? Yeah, so look, we've consistently talked about that as being the date for the business in financial year 18. You know, and so if you look at the way the business has grown, as I said, we're over the 700,000 active mark. We gave some indications recently to the investment community around what our forward projection looked like, and you could pretty clearly see on that chart, and as brokers and analysts have taken from that information, our break-even number is somewhere just north of 1 million subscribers. So we're well and truly on the way to that number. And so what we see happening over the next 12 months is
continued growth, obviously, in terms of our net subscriber adds, and growth in a seasonal kind of way. You'll see, as I say, that the summertime's a big peak for us in terms of the gross sign-up numbers, and then you tend to come out of the summer period and then into another big peak, and driven largely as we go through the middle of the year by the big premium and exclusive titles that we have on the platform. Right now, we're fast-tracking Billions and Imposters from NBC. Those two shows are driving great sign-ups. But then we start to track into some big shows during the year like Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks will be the biggest show of 2017. It is so highly anticipated in the market. We can already see the interest, which gives us a very clear leading indicator of what gross sign-ups are likely to look like around that period of time.
And I want to talk about the content offering in a moment, but just in terms of then when you say around about $1 million, is that sort of break-even point, how much then does each customer on top of that increase margin? If that's that break-even point, is each person on top of that just creating greater margin for the business? Yeah,
and again, we gave the market some indication around what variable costs look like as the business grows, and without putting a number specifically on it, the vast majority of every additional subscriber, the vast majority of the revenue from those subscribers goes straight through to the bottom line. There is a small amount of cost, and if you were to estimate it, it's in low single digits out of a $10 fee. So the vast majority of the incremental revenue above the break-even point goes into the bottom line, which is what makes this particular model quite interesting. There are content models in the past that have been based on revenue shares, and obviously revenue shares sort of fix your ability to grow gross margin over time. This really is a business where you can fix in a cost base, which does have some growth in it. Of course, where as we add subscribers, there are some additional customer service costs and some delivery of content costs, and you do have to continue to build to a certain degree, your base of product, but ultimately, for the larger part, as you tip a business like this past its break-even point, it starts to become very positive in terms of its EBIT growth.
Tell me, both partners, they think they invested $50 million each initially. They've each put a little bit more in, I think, haven't they?
Yeah.
Will they start getting some of that back then, or are they just sort of hanging around waiting for a bigger payday when there might be a takeover?
Look, I think
IPO?
I think fundamentally, and my job as the CEO of the business and the management team's job is to grow the business and to create as much shareholder value as we can. And as we go through this growth story, of course, other opportunities might come down the pipeline. So whether shareholders decide that they want to take dividends out of the business or cash, or whether they think they should put that back into future growth, will be a decision for the future. I think that's
a decision you have when you get to that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think clearly at this point in time there'll be various stakeholders in the business who have a view around that, but it's not something that we have to make a call on today. What I will say though is, when we present the update on the business and our view of the strategy as we go into fiscal 18, we will certainly provide a range of scenarios to the board around growth trajectories and what they might look like, and that then is ultimately up to the board to decide, do they want to take any of those options, or do we, stay on the same path that we're at today. So I think the exciting thing about a business that's in this kind of growth phase is you have a lot of options available to you, and it really comes down to what's going to drive the most value for shareholders.
Looking at the average profile, if there is such a thing of a customer, do they tend to stick to one SVOD service? Is it purely Stan? I mean, do they have multiple subscriptions, and how sticky are they as a customer? Yeah, look, the nice thing about this category, and I've spoken about this in recent weeks to the investor space and what the category looks like from a duplication point of view, but not just within SVOD, within the broader television market. And what you'll see is that, traditionally we've had Foxtel as the dominant player in premium pay television, more recently moving more aggressively into skinny bundles with the Foxtel Play service. But both Netflix and Stan are highly complementary to those existing television services and to one another. So to answer your question, we're seeing quite a high overlap certainly between Netflix and Stan, consumers who are taking both services, and we're also seeing consumers who are adding Netflix and Stan to their traditional premium pay TV packages. So they're complementary in both respects, and I think, maybe there's some confusion as to whether that's a good or a bad thing. And for us, it's certainly a great thing that consumers are taking both and at a high overlap rate. And the reason being is that it demonstrates that
consumers see Stan as something which is very unique, very differentiated, that offers something different to what Netflix offers. And I think part of the challenge for us in the early days, both in the consumer market but also to explain to investors about this category, they didn't understand whether this was going to be a winner-take-all kind of market. And we've consistently said that it is not a winner-take-all market. It's not like the mobile phone market where I'm primarily going out to sign up with a single carrier. I'm going to take each SVOD service on its own merit. And if you've got great, and we've said this from day one, if you've got great content, if you've got a highly sought-after content which is premium, consumers will take it up.
Netflix has flagged it's expanding into reality TV. I'm just wondering, does your ownership structure prevent you from maybe competing with Nine, for example, in a genre if you wanted to?
No, look, I mean, there's no limit to what genres we could go into. As you can see, recently we announced the One Night Stand premiere date for 24 March, which is a set of special.
Will Anderson.
Yeah, Will Anderson first up as a feature-length comedy special. That's certainly a different genre to Wolf Creek, for example. So we are completely open to a range of genres, and it really depends on what the audience is after.
Yes.
Also looking at the way that the offerings that you provide customers. In particular, looking at the decision to provide offline content, the thinking behind that, and is that something that is being led by the consumer? Is it being led by competitors, or is it something that you're looking at constantly innovating the offering? Yeah,
look, it's listening to the consumer is the crux of any consumer-facing business, and for us, the launch of offline, as much as it does coincide with the timing of Netflix announcement of their offline product, we've been acquiring the offline rights because you can't sort of just set up and start offering the content if you don't have the rights. So, that job of acquiring offline rights has been going on for about 18 months for us, and we did recently announce that this month, in March, we will launch our offline service. And for the viewers here today who've been speculating as to exactly when in March, if you're keeping a close eye on the Apple App Store today, you might have seen a new version of the Stan app go into the store. That, I can say, is the version that carries all of our offline capability. You won't see it if you switch it on because we haven't switched the features on, but within the next 7 to 10 days, you'll see us switch those features on.
Mediaweek exclusive.
And offline will become available. That is a Mediaweek exclusive for you guys.
Good. Just quickly, I get a feeling this category is more price sensitive maybe than it once was. I mean, the reason I say that about, Foxtel's always looking at maybe trying to get a cheaper offering to get its customers in at the bottom end. Fetch have just done $6 skinny packs, which seems on the top of it a pretty good deal, and I think they offer access to Stan through the Fetch set-top box, I think. So is that right? It's becoming
in terms of
a bit
more sensitive. Look, I think what we're actually seeing is the creation of some fairly clear market segments that all offer different propositions. So if I focus in specifically on SVOD and the Netflix and Stan space, we've done a lot of testing of the market and research on where the price sensitivity is, and that research has told us that there's a fairly wide envelope in that $10 to $15 price bracket for SVOD today. So I think you can sort of expect to see that over the next 6 to 12 months, and we know that the government is going to require the collection of GST by all players international, so we would expect that Netflix will start collecting GST, which means they'll probably increase their price to coincide with that, because they've done the same in New Zealand already back in October. So I'd expect to see some movement in price in the category, and again, within that $10 to $15, we're not talking about significant hikes in pricing, but within the $10 to $15 price range, I think there's a fair amount of flexibility for pricing for SVOD.
All right, Mike Sneesby, got to leave it there, but appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, James.
CEO of Stan. Well, now for a quick check-in on the media sector's performance on the share market this week. We're joined by Gary Burton from IG. And Gary, seems to be all about Nine Entertainment. They've got an upgrade from Macquarie. What do you make of it?
Yeah, they have. They've got an upgrade from Macquarie, and as we just heard, most of the focus really seems to be around this digital content now. That's the real build-up area in here, and it's interesting to note that Nine also took a 59% stake in a little company called Car Advice, car sales and advertising sites. So yeah, really digital publishing and video streaming, media streaming it seems to be the direction at the moment.
Gary, appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to take a quick break here on Media Week. When we come back, we'll get across all the latest media news with James Manning. Stay with us.
me, we're celebrating being awarded Australia's best bank. Thanks to each and every one of our customers.
Dreaming of a luxurious holiday? With Luxury Escapes, it's possible. We work with the world's best hotels to create incredible holidays at prices we can all afford. When you book with Luxury Escapes, you also get VIP inclusions. First, download the app or go to luxuryescapes.com. Then, browse our offers. Purchase online or call one of our experts, available 7 days a week. Discover the world's best holidays today with Luxury Escapes.
With outstanding quality, durability, reliability, safety and service, it's no wonder we're Australia's #1 forklift company. Toyota Material Handling. Solutions for every pallet.
The biggest night in Australian country music. We've had more votes than ever.
And the CMC Music Award goes to...
The CMC Awards are back. The Southern Hemisphere's biggest fan-voted country music awards.
Live from the Gold Coast with performances by Little Big Town, Kip Moore, the McClymonts and Lee Kernaghan. The CMC Awards 2017. Live March 23 on CMC.
Betty Davis looks old enough to be my mother. If Crawford couldn't ruin the picture, nobody could. I want the dirt.
They didn't actually need a reason to hate each other. It was chemical.
That was a feud of biblical proportions.
Pure, naked rancor. I love it. Anchor.
God! Did you get it?
Feud, Benny and Joan. Begins Sunday 8:30 on Showcase.
So, Graham, hanging out with movie critic Pomerantz, eh? Should be nice. She's got an IQ 3. That all suggests shows based on what she's watched. Suggested. This should be interesting. No. Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Badge! Fury 7?
That is not going to work.
Foxtel IQ 3. Order yours today.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Well, thank you very much. No, I'm Mr. B is mine. I'm Mr. No, we're the B team. Sky News Live. It's not that you're wrong. I wouldn't say that. It's just an alternative fact. All right then. Love to Melania. It's your wife. No, that's your daughter. Vanessa. Tiffany. Oh, this is not going to end well.
Welcome back to Media Week, of course, joined by my co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week. We are going to talk about some of the major stories of the week, and an interesting one, Domain boss Anthony Catalano says the platform is looking at expansion into mortgage and insurance. James Manning, an expected move, because not dissimilar to what REA's done.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if, Domain go a little bit further and really put their brand over this. He's talking insurance, mortgages, because they're building a massive offering there as the two companies are sort of going head to head. REA is actually launching their lifestyle offering. I think goes live on Friday. So both companies are really, they've got big user bases. So a lot of people go to these websites. A lot of people go to both. Some prefer one over the other. But yeah, so there's the potential there to really expand and put some of your own branding on some products to build the revenue, build the brand even further.
There's be some fierce competition between those two, I suspect, over the...
Yeah, they really fight like cats and dogs, don't they? Which is sort of, good if you're a shareholder in either REA or parent company Fairfax, as it just really motivates those companies to the next level.
Speaking of listed companies, APN News and Media, some interesting executive moves.
Yeah, look, we had Kieran Davis on the show last week, and he revealed to us, look, they're going to be changing their name soon. They still haven't revealed what that's going to be.
Is that because it's so similar to APN Outdoor?
Well, I think, but basically too, because there's the sort of the heritage business was newspaper publishing, and that's gone. So they just want to separate that out of it, and they're going to be like, they call themselves an away-from-home media company now. So radio and outdoors are the big focus, building their digital properties. And with a view to that, Tony Kendall is moving from ARN, where he was Chief Executive Officer, over to Chief Revenue Officer at the group, so APN News and Media, or I guess he might save on his business card and wait till they get that new name and do that. Rob Atkinson is going to replace him. He's being promoted from running Adshell to running the radio business, which is the significant part of that business now. It is. It's the lion's share of the revenue.
But Adshell's a big growth area, though.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they're tapping some expertise in there too. Mike Tyquin, who used to be with but's more recently been the Chief Operating Officer at Adshell, he's going to be promoted. He's got a long history in outdoor, so no one knows that business better than him and the sector. So I think it's three good moves there.
Moving on, a new report has revealed what the most engaging medium is during the summer months.
Yeah, and it's come out from the people who measure radio, so it's no surprise maybe that's actually radio. Who knew? But that sort of makes sense, though, if you're out and about. You know, the people said, look, at that time of year, we're more likely to listen to media than watch it. You know, when you're out doing stuff over the summer, you're out of home more. So, yeah, so radio came up trumps in that, and that comes out just days before the next, or the first radio ratings of this year, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth on the program next week.
Melbourne Press Club has revealed who the finalists are for the Quill Excellence in Journalism Award.
Yeah, this is awards that recognise excellence in journalism in Victoria, so hence the Melbourne Press Club is the home for that. The big award is the Gold Quill. We don't have specific nominees for that because that is picked from one of the winners in all the categories, so we sort of won't have much clarity on that till the night, which is Friday of next week. We'll get that. But the up for the sort of the big investigation prize, investigative journalism, is the Herald Sun, The Age, and 730. So they're the big competitors there.
Some movements at News Corp as well. The CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, off to Disney.
Yeah, look, it's Alyssa Bowen. She was a guest on the show here in the past. She's been tapped to go to head office, losing a few staff members being pulled over to the American HQ. No surprise, I guess, with James Lachlan working with their father now, running the business, so they're well across where all the key talent is in Australia, and some of it's going over there, and they've promoted internally to fill that position.
And WTFN, geez, you want to be careful with that, wouldn't you? WTFN Entertainment is on the search for a new Bondi vet.
Yes.
Dr. Chris Bowden's gone, isn't he?
Yep, he's gone.
Lost in the jungle.
Yeah. Well, he also works on another show that they make, The Living Room, which is a pretty big property for 10 on Friday nights. He's going to focus on that, and he says he wants to sort of still keep his roots in his sort of eastern suburbs Sydney veterinary practice. So they'll either find someone and keep the name Bondi Vet, or depending on who they choose, they might sort of rebrand it, I think.
Let's cut to ABC. Obviously, some as long awaited restructure sort of plan and announcement from Michelle Guthrie. Your thoughts on it, in particular the $50 million content fund?
Yeah, I think that's good news for the sector. You know, they've got some more money to spend. I think it was pretty clear the government wasn't going to improve their funding. Yeah. You know, that's been hard. They've been hard to hang on to what they've got, I think, in the past few years. So it makes sense. They've got to they've gone through their layers of management. I think middle management will see the most sort of, if you like, redundancies. That will take effect in Sydney most of all. So up to 200 people could be going there. It's a lot of people. But they are widening their sort of regional brief, if you like. So they'll be creating 80 new jobs there with an additional 15 million to invest in that area. But the good news for content companies. So
Absolutely.
You'll be dusting off your program props and getting them over to the ABC.
Let's cut to the ratings. Let's check in on the latest ratings for free-to-air. We'll kick off, of course, for week 9. And look, this has been a fierce competition. One that I don't think MKR has really had to face before, has it? Between it and Married at First Sight.
I mean, nearly as long as this little show's been going on the business, nearly as long as the business channel's been going here too. My Kitchen Rules has dominated that first quarter radio TV ratings every year. This is the first time they've had consistent competition. And, you know, the most recently, it's been knocking it off too.
Yeah.
So, but it's still sort of neck and neck. I think My Kitchen Rules is going to run a lot longer than Married at First Sight. So when Married at First Sight wraps its season, that should allow MKR to get back into top spot, but 9 certainly will be hoping whatever replaces it could keep breathing down its neck.
Yeah, each day just seems to jewel through the week there, and you can see
Absolutely.
the Sunday news programs for 9 and 7, then ABC making appearance number 10, Death in Paradise. Let's move on to week 9 subscription television ratings and the NRL dominating. Great to see the cricket coming at number 5. Absolutely compulsive viewing.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, hasn't it?
Yeah. Don't get me started on Virat Kohli.
The Indian
I wish
captain.
he was in Australia.
Yeah, well, that's what that's the sort of captain you want, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
It's do or die effort there, win at all costs. And look, Fox League, the new channel, we've talked a lot about in recent times.
Yeah.
Look, really dominating that weekend. People loving that dedicated NRL offering.
Is he going to beat the AFL's?
Well,
Fox channel?
we'll find out soon. Look,
because that's been quite dominant.
It could well do, because the attraction for NRL for advertisers is it's in the biggest population centres, which is New South Wales and Queensland. Victoria's stronghold for AFL, but of course South Australia and Western Australia are smaller states, so the advertisers will perhaps get a bigger bang out of those bigger markets.
And finally, the top 5 non-sport on subscription television. Gogglebox taking out top sport. Lifestyle does well, doesn't it? Then you've got the NRL, number 3rd and 4th, and Professor's Second Year Syndrome.
Yeah, look, I thought I'd put that in there. You could argue, should that be in the sports list? Well, it's not really sport. It's an entertainment show.
Comedy or something, right?
Yeah, it's late night. I watched the first one last week. Had its moments. It's still bending it in, I think. They've got a little bit to go, but, I think a lot of fans liked it, and it can afford to be a bit edgy late night on a Friday.
All right, and of course, all of those brought to us courtesy of Oztam. Love the people over at Oztam. That's it for the show for this week. Big thank you to my guest, of course, James Manning from Mediaweek. Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
That's it for the show. We're back next week. Thanks for watching.